Hello and welcome to Jesus for Asia Now. I'm Natalie Wood and my husband John is here with me today. Hello, love.
Hi, darling. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. Well, what are we going to see today?
Today we're going to go to India.
Okay.
And we're going to see some churches that have been closed for many years.
Okay.
And that's not a really positive subject.
Nope.
Except that the remedy is very exciting.
Okay. Well, let's go straight to our first video,
Okay.
which is with the president of the church in this part of India.
Sounds good.
In the year 2006, they had a program called 50 Village Program. They had bought land and constructed around 40 churches. People from US had come. They had evangelistic campaign. They were able to establish around 50 centers here in Vellore section. When they were about to open it or dedicate the churches, there was a kind of political issue that came up, and the foreigners were forced to go back to US, and that is where the problem started. And later on, there are two basic underlying problems that they had. One was lack of finance, and secondly, political issue. And the third one, I should say, is lack of Bible workers. After me coming to this place, when I had a survey of all my 4 districts, I found this 50 village program that has taken place in the year 2006-7. And then I wanted to implore into all these churches, and all these churches were like, abandoned. Some of the churches were windows were broken, doors were broken, and all the churches were, like Amazon forest. These churches were under the custody of the local people. Some of them had used these churches as cow sheds. I literally saw the cows inside these churches, and some of the churches were literally broken, and it was a countryside bathroom like. And I literally had to stand there and cry, stating, Lord, how could this happen to your church? And then I decided that instead of going into a new project, let me see that how the older projects can come into life. And so when I was praying about this, one of my good friend, Elder Israel Prasad, the JFA director for Asia here, he was able to listen to my story, the burden that I had for this section, and he was able to present this to the JFA group in the US. And now we are overwhelmed to see that this group has come to us. They have tapped on our shoulder, and they have just said, brother, we are behind you to see that these churches are going to be opened up. They have given us near about 20 Bible workers to work for these churches, and that was a very, very, very great help to me. And these churches, which were abandoned and closed and destroyed, they were able to paint it, and now with the furnishing and everything, it's a Pakka working church. And God was so good to us, sending the JFA group to help us. And now we are overwhelmed to see that the JFA team is in Vellore to open up 7 churches, and there are 20 churches more to open. I think the church is going to grow nicely, and we see that there is a Bible worker in it, and the church will function every Sabbath, and I see a very bright future for all these abandoned churches. And I'm grateful to the Lord Almighty and to the people of the JFA who are so generous, and God bless this group called the Jesus for Asia.
Joy and with happiness and with a song in your mind, because you know God is smiling on your
So basically what he's saying is that many years ago, a group came in and built, the target was to build 50 churches. They got 40 churches built, and he called it a political issue, but there is an extremist group that kicked them out of the country.
Right.
So the very first night that they held evangelism, they were kicked out of the country. And because of the financial challenges of supplying Bible workers for all 40 churches, the local conference couldn't keep up. And so instead of nurturing these churches and being able to put Bible workers there, all 40 churches were closed.
So now he's trying to find them.
Yes.
And he's finding them little at a time, which is a huge challenge. One of them, I remember they told us a story, they only found because one of the pastors was going to somebody's birthday party in a village, and as he passed by, he saw this roof shape that he recognized from off the side of the highway. And so he was like, what is that? And so they went and found out it was an Adventist church.
But this is what he's decided to do. Instead of building new churches and new villages, why not just restart the churches that are already there?
Right. And encourage the members that were there at the beginning and make it available to those that weren't members yet.
Yeah. Now that church that you saw in that video with all the people, it was packed out. Why are you smiling so broadly?
Because we had the privilege of serving in that church.
Yes.
And
yes.
it was precious. It was a precious time.
And the other thing that these closed churches do is they put a smear on the name or on the face of Jesus, because the local Hindus will say, hey, our God takes care of our temple. Look at the beautiful temple that we have. What's wrong with your God?
Yeah.
Maybe your God doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And so reopening these churches to us has become a huge burden and a joy.
Right. Right. And yeah, the precious, precious people in that church, you know, the children, they're so cute. They're naughty, but they're so cute.
Yes.
Precious, precious smiles. And to have the young people come and ask for prayer. My exams are coming. Please pray for me to do well on my exams.
Yes.
And to have the older people come and say, what did little baby say?
She says, I'm so thankful that I was able to live until this day, until this message came to my village.
Right. And she's not a young lady, but that is what her name means.
Yeah.
She has a Tamil name, but her name means little baby. She's quite an elderly lady.
Yes. She would come and talk to me after the program. And she would talk to me, and I would talk to her, and she would talk to me. I had no idea what each other was saying. But I knew it was good. And then later, somebody came and interpreted to us what she was saying, and that's what she said, that she's so thankful that this message came, and she would pray for us. Precious souls like that make it so worthwhile. And how many other villages with closed churches have those same kind of precious souls just waiting for the good news to come?
All right, well, we don't want to stop now.
Yeah.
We've got another video
Okay.
from another one of the churches that was reopened at the same time. And this church is extra special because it was Gail Haberkamp's church.
Okay.
And Gail is one of our missionaries in Thailand.
Yes.
We took her to India.
Yes.
2006, 2007, this church was built, and after it was built, the section appointed lay volunteers, Bible workers, to take care of the church. They took care of this church for some time. Due to the financial crisis, later they stopped the lay volunteers.
This Ikupam was occupied by one lady where she used to put all the grass, hay, and whatever the foodstuff that she used to give it to the cows. And the cows were inside. And just at the entrance, there was a cow shed. And she wasn't allowing me to go inside. Even after throwing everything from the church outside, she was not taking the cow shed which was at the doorway. And we had to talk to the village people, village headmen, and to government officials, and through which she was forced to be taken out.
This was painted by Ella Dennis and Judy. This couple stayed here almost 3 months, painted many churches, and this was one among that. And after 20 years, it's reopened in this year 2024. We had 10 days meeting. Sister Gail presented a beautiful message to the people in this village. And we hope that many will accept Jesus as a personal Savior. And we like to appoint a JFA Bible worker to do the follow-up work. And in future, we would like to have evening school conducted in this place where the students in this community will be benefited by studying and knowing about Jesus Christ. And this will definitely help the community know about Jesus Christ and will be able to win many souls for Christ.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. And it's so neat to know that, they're thinking long term. We got to put a Bible worker here, and we'd like an evening school here. And speaking about the evening schools, there isn't one there yet.
Correct.
But we're praying for the funding to be able to open it.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful thing to have the evening school there because it builds up the church. It actually keeps the church building open. So there's something happening in the church every day of the week. So besides giving tutoring in the regular schoolwork, it gives them an evening of worship, and they can learn stories from the Bible and character building stories and moral stories and Bible texts and spiritual songs, and they also get a meal.
Yes.
And the meal is very, very important because many of these villages are very poor, and many times the children get one good meal a day. Sometimes they get a second meal, but it's not very good. Many times we've seen it'll be like the water from cooking the rice, or like a rice soup with a few grains of rice in it, and they just drink the water basically. And so it's such a huge privilege to provide that for the children.
Yeah.
So, and that's just $9 a month per child. So
Correct.
we're really praying that we can open a school in that village because it helps the children and it helps the church as well.
Yes. Yes.
So we have another video from another reopened church, but it's in a slightly different area.
Yeah, it's in the same region of the Adventist church, but it's like an hour and a half away, another city with a number of closed churches around that city. And so we had another team going to that place at a separate time.
Okay.
This is a mountain which is in Tiruvannamalai, one of the holy mountains which the Hindu people believe that if they come and see this mountain once in their year, once in their lifetime, they feel like all their sins are washed and they feel very holy. And this place, by the grace of God, God opened the door in the year 2009. There were 17 to 28 churches which was constructed, and they had a big grand opening and the churches were open, but unfortunately, Satan had its own way and he stopped all these churches. These churches were locked. By the grace of God, in the year 2023, we prayed and God showed us this place, and the local Vellore section administrators, they were really concerned to open these churches. And these churches were looking very different. Trees were grown and plants were grown, bushes were there. People started using these places for many other things. By the grace of God, this year, 2025, in the February month, we were able to get into 5 new villages, 5 churches which were locked for many years. God showed us these churches and helped us to renovate these churches and pray for these churches and paint these churches, clean the churches, and also God spoke in the hearts of people to come from abroad, from US, to do 1 week of evangelism. I really wanted to thank the Lord for speaking those acts which need to be spoken. Because of that, now all these 5 churches are open.
So how many churches have we reopened so far?
About 30.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How many churches left to reopen?
About 100.
So a few more.
Right. And not just in this one area or this one district. There's in other areas of India also.
Yeah. So are we planning to do any more?
Yes, actually. Every year. When would that be?
We usually go in the winter time, so it's only hot
Okay.
instead of really hot
Okay.
or super rainy.
Uh-huh.
And we go there, and as many groups as can come, we form up into teams, and we help reopen those churches. Sometimes we'll do some paintings, sometimes we'll do some medical clinics, depending on who's there and what kind of
Right,
local.
and sometimes VBS.
VBS, that's a big deal. The kids love the VBSs.
Yeah, so if there's enough on the team and enough children at one of the churches, we'll try to do a VBS there also. So what time of year would that be? What month of the year?
Well, we're looking at usually going in January, February,
Okay.
sometimes into March. But, the winter time for us, that's the cool season for them.
Okay.
However, their cool season is still like a mild summer for us.
Yeah.
So it's very pleasant, but definitely on the warm side.
Yeah. 85, 90, somewhere in there usually.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot more churches to reopen and a lot more opportunity for people to come and get a taste of what it's really like on the front lines.
Yeah.
And we usually design these trips to be 2-week trips. So if you have a job, most people can easily take 2 weeks off, go over to the other side of the world, open some churches, meet some people, bless some people, come back with a experience of a lifetime.
Right. Right. Well, speaking of experience, we have a testimony of one of the people who went on this trip.
Okay.
So as I came here for my first mission and asking God, okay, God, what do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? I had a friend who sent me a book written by Tim Maddock. And I was reading the book on my travels here. And by the time I finished the book, I was just crying and crying and crying. And I said, okay, God, I understand. But where do I go? I became a massage therapist here. I was given massages at the health camp. And it was the most amazing experience that I can ever have. And I was part of the presentations in the churches, me and Elder Douglas and Sister Lenny. I don't know how people can be captive so much. And it makes me hate Satan a lot because we were not made to go through this level of suffering. God created us and He said that it was good. So prayer walk really made me mourn a lot for the people of India, to recognize how the dissection has been so effective in them, to look at the darkness that's around them and the lack of knowledge. That they have faith, but they don't have faith in the true God that can save them. So the more I pray, the more I ask, Lord, you have your remnant here. And I know that you are able to save as many as want to be saved. And I believe that. I believe God is able to save as many as who want to be saved. It is going to be hard work because culture and the things that, the practices are really hard to break free. But God is able. God is able to do mighty things. I live in a level of comfort that now bothers me, seeing the amount of need that is here. So I am returning, moving forward, with the thought and the desire to change my life completely and dedicate my life for the rest of the years that God wants to give me for missions. Now being here, seeing the need, there is no way that I can return to my regular life. My life is too comfortable. And Jesus is coming soon. There are so many souls that need the gospel. And I am no longer in the desire to just stay at home and maybe say, okay, maybe I can give this amount, or maybe I can help this way. I want to be part of the work. And it will be more fulfilling for me and my personal relationship with God to be here with those that are also working so hard to bring souls to the gospel.
And so she has decided to become a full-time missionary.
Yeah. Now, the book she talked about is When Sacrifice is Gained by Tim Maddox, who is a missionary in Cambodia. And so we're so thankful for God inspiring Tim to write that book.
Yes.
And using it to connect Ruthie with his work.
Yes. Can people get a hold of that book?
Yes, it is available now at every major book distributor. So you can get it online at Amazon or Barnes & Noble, you know, whatever your local bookstore might be. They might have it in stock, or they can help you order it.
Cool.
All right. Well, we have one more video, and that is of another church that needs to be reopened.
So we're standing in front of a church right here that was built, but it wasn't. They weren't able to complete it because a local extremist group came and put a stop to it. And that was 13 years ago. Now we're trying to reopen it. So now we're inside the church, and this church just a few weeks ago was not painted like this, and there was big holes in the wall back there. And they thought that they could reopen this church and have no problem. So this was going to be one of the 7 churches that we have recently reopened. But the property that was access to this church has been built over. And so now we're looking at having to put a road in and a bridge over a big drainage ditch here in order to get access, just so that we can get to the church. And so we've got this church, we've got this tool for God's kingdom that's been sitting empty for 13 years. And I just don't think that it's right. I don't think it's right to be sitting closed like that. Vanakkam.
Vanakkam.
How are you?
How are you? Em per Sanjala.
Praise the Lord. And how did you become a Seventh-day Adventist?
I became an Adventist after attending a series of meetings held in the area. The pastor approached me and asked if I knew of any land in this area that they could buy to build a church on. I owned this land and was in need of the money, so I sold this land for them to build a church on.
All right, so they came and built this, and how do you feel about the fact that it's been empty?
There was a pastor assigned to this church in the beginning, but he was transferred to another place. And since that time, the church has been unused and barren.
Okay, all right. Where are you going to church up until now?
Since this church was closed, I've been going to the CSI church.
Oh, okay. All right. So are you wanting to have this church reopened? I imagine you would love to see it.
Yes.
The president's here for the local area of the church. He doesn't know how much it's going to cost to put that road in, but it's probably cheaper than building a new church, buying the land and building the new church. You can see the floor leaves a lot to be desired. So it really needs a little bit more work, but still the structure itself is pretty solid. I can almost guarantee that if this church was reopened, there would be people coming to this church, especially children. The churches that we have reopened recently in this area, as soon as we open them, there's people. There's kids, there's grown-ups, there's people that come to the church. They want to learn about Jesus. We had one lady, her name is Little Baby. She was crying 2 nights ago. She says, I am so thankful that I got to live long enough to hear this truth. I am so thankful. And she was crying, and it's like, you know, how many other people are like that? In this village, you know, there may be one soul in this village that would love to come to a church and learn about Jesus if it was open. I'd like to invite you to please pray for this church. There are people here that Jesus knows very well, and I believe that he would love to have this thing open again. Breaks your heart to see a church sitting there. So many times we go to cities where there's no church and we're praying, Lord, please put a church here so people can get to know you. And there's a village with a church, and the church is closed.
Yeah, I mean, you think about what the donors for these churches and the people who came to build those churches, what they went through to get the funds together. You know, many sacrificed, I am sure, to build these churches in the first place. And so to now be able to reopen them and have them filled with people learning about Jesus and hearing the gospel, many for the first time, it's a huge, huge privilege to be a part of it. I would like to invite you to pray for funds to reopen more of these churches, to sponsor Bible workers to keep them open, to put evening schools in these churches, and also for people to go and conduct these series to bring the gospel, to bring Jesus and hope to these communities. If you would like to be involved, please contact us at Jesus for Asia, P.O. Box 1221, Collegedale, Tennessee 37315. Call us at 423-413-7321 or visit our website at jesusforasia.org. May God richly bless you until we see you next time on Jesus for Asia Now.